Hey y'all, how's it going? Welcome back. It's Mia, and today we are discussing Andor episode 9. Now, you might have realized I skipped a couple of episodes. Oopsie. And that was mostly because I made it very clear in my last review of episodes 1 through 3 that I was not vibing with Andor because I felt that the series was too slow. And I've seen a lot of comments online where people will be like, oh, I fell asleep during Andor, it was too slow. And then someone in the comments will be like, you must not like taking things slow, you must not like slow burns, you must not like reading books. And I was like, what a horrible fallacy. It's just that to me it was slow in the sense that nothing was happening. I don't mind a nice build up to, I've already defended myself. Let's just move on to why I do like Andor now, which is because I feel like the series has finally found its footing. Like I said, episodes 1 through 3 were slow. Episode 4 also felt like nothing happened. And then finally 5, it was getting there. And then by 6, when they finally had the heist, I was like, wow, I would say they pulled off that episode spectacularly. The pacing was right, the excitement was there. And then 7, 8, and now 9, I feel like they have been perfectly fine. And I think that's because everyone has something to do finally. The stakes are higher, and in particular, the prison arc. I could have like a whole season on the prison arc. I think that has just been so compelling, and let's talk about that. So what do I like about the prison arc? Number one, it feels very Squid Game. I don't know if it feels like that to you, but it's like, they all are like walking in a row, right? They're wearing their uniforms, and you can't step out of line, or else, like, again, talking about the stakes being high, I just kind of like that. The tenseness of it all, the drama of it all. Like, if you step on that floor, they can turn on the shock and fry you, basically. And so there's this whole competition going on amongst the people on the floors and the other floors as well. And so I just kind of like that. Again, I could see a whole season on that. But specifically, I think what a big surprise has been Andy Serkis. I saw that he was in this, but I wasn't expecting him to be in that role. And when he first came on screen, I was like, isn't this a bit too small of a role for someone like Andy Serkis? Like, my God, he's playing like the leader of a prison work floor. To me, that just didn't make any sense. And then as the episodes went on, I was like, oh, okay, he's got a nice chunk of responsibility here. And I believe in episode 10, it's gonna grow even bigger. So yeah, what a complex character. He's playing some guy who is almost a year away from basically his freedom. And he's like, look, I'm not messing around. I don't want no BS. I want to run a tight ship. I want all my guys to do their best work, and I want to get the heck out of here in 200 and something days. And so, Andor is over here like, dude, we got to break out. We can't be here. It's horrible. And it's I would say Diego Luna did really well playing into that, and just the sheer like shock and horror of being like, oh my God, I have to be here for 6 years, even though, he knows he's not going to be there for 6 years. But just the thought of having to go through this prison camp is a lot. So it was fascinating to see all of a sudden when things start to turn and there's this rumbling about something going on floor 2, like the drama of it all. It's very Orange is the New Black too, isn't it? Like, ooh, there's drama going down in a prison. So, all the while we're trying to figure out like, okay, what happened on floor 2? Why is everything going wonky and weird all of a sudden? And, what does this mean for the prisoners? And some events play out, and then we end up finding out from the doctor or the medic that basically someone on floor 4 was sent to, it was his time to be released, right? He's thinking that he's gained his freedom, and then he gets sent to floor 2, and all of a sudden when he comes to his realization, I guess a riot breaks out, because listen, they're not leaving that place. That was a huge bomb to drop, just to be like, yeah, you're not getting out of this place. And I believe it's specifically because it's in response to the whole garrison thing that Andor and his crewmates did, which was, the Empire didn't like that at all, naturally. So they were like, we're gonna put the hammer down. And now like Andor's sentence is like quadruple the time he normally would have spent. And these prisoners, in reality, quadruple doesn't even amount to how long he would really be in there, because he's supposed to be now in there forever. They're just going to keep cycling those prisoners. So that's crazy. And that's why at the end, it was really exciting when Andor asked, how many guards are on each floor. And Kino, my guy, he's like 12. And you're like, oh, we're about to have a prison riot. So I'm hoping that is going to be episode 10 is going to be a really, really exciting episode because of what they've been building up to over these last 3 episodes, or I guess 2 episodes. Poor Andor just wanted to be on a nice beach. He did nothing wrong. I'm also surprised, just to continue talking about Andy Serkis, is to see that he basically is going to have more screen time than Forrest Whitaker as Saw Gerrera. I thought Saw would have more screen time, especially because he is tied so much to Rogue One, but I'm like, I don't know, maybe that one scene that we got was all we'll get. But that's okay. I'm really loving Andy Serkis in this. I'm also wondering though, is he gonna die in this prison rebellion? The signs are there. I would hate to see it happen, but you can tell he would be a guy to like sacrifice himself so that all his men can go home free. And then he resurrects himself and becomes Snoke. So, it all works out. Otherwise, we have some other storylines going on. We've got a lot of characters, and there's a lot of moving parts. And Mon Mothma seems to be one of the biggest ones as well. And the last we left her, it's kind of has this rift between her and Luthen. They were working together, and now with the whole attack, she finds out that he was the one behind it. She's kind of like, I don't know if I'm into that and what you did. And I get it, but eventually, as we see, the Rebel Alliance is gonna have to, it's gonna be a full-on war. So I'm like, you're gonna have to get on with this eventually, Mon, because you're sitting here at these Senate meetings, talking basically to a brick wall. No one is listening to you, no one is agreeing with you. So the fact that she's like, people will be hurt and harmed. I'm like, but people are already being hurt and harmed by the Empire. I mean, Andor's dad was hanged in the middle of the town square. Like, that was when they were still using clone troopers. So right from the very beginning, it's been very hostile with the Empire. So I'm like, Mon, you gotta get up to the times, my guy. Ugh, I sound like such a nerd, but seriously. And then on top of that, she's got this whole thing where she needs access to her family funds, so she reaches out to an old friend. And whatever is going on with that, it sounds like he's being kind of shady. I thought he was trustworthy, but now we can see he's like, well, there's this guy who can help you out here. And, so he sounds like a kind of mobster or thug type guy. So if that's really her only hope is to go with this guy, I wonder what that means for her and her character, like, to be working with some kind of criminal, basically. And the other thing that I want to know is what is going to be the thing that makes her turn, because we do see, obviously, in the movie, she's leading, in a way, the Rebel Alliance. And I'm like, obviously that's got to be a full-time job, right? She's not going to the Senate and leading these meetings, like. So I'm wondering what's it gonna take, and I feel like that'll be like a season 2 thing, maybe, where she really starts to make this transition and they get, I guess, bigger and more together, loosely to speak. So that's what I'm interested in seeing from her. And then we gotta talk about Dedra, because she's something. At first, she kind of had this storyline where, it's like, no one wants to listen to me because I'm a woman, and I was like, okay, I get it. But at the same time, you're kind of rooting for her because her coworker was a jerk, and you're like, no, she deserves justice, she deserves to be heard. And now all of a sudden, aren't you regretting that? Not in a bad way, right? Women, we deserve equal treatment, but this is the Empire we're talking about, and that girl is bad. She talk about putting the hammer down. Dedra is ruthless, she is fearless, and equally fearsome. See, it's kind of weird. It was like, I was rooting for her, and now that she's finally in the position where she can start doing what she wants to do, it's like, oh, but no, wait, no, you're harming the characters that I love. No, I don't want this. But I will say this actress is really great. Denise Go, I believe is her name. She's bad. And compare that to Moses Ingram, who I had a big problem with as Reva. She was kind of, she couldn't sell that, being fearsome and terrifying, but Dedra is all that more. So my props to her. And then we have Syril, the android sent by Cyberlife. What's going on This dude, I don't know how to feel about him, because at first I thought he was an interesting character because it seemed like, I thought he was one of those characters who was on the fence about what was going on. Like, he hated that he was so mistreated by his superiors, so I thought maybe he was going to be one of those kind of Kylo Ren people, right, who felt the pull to the light. And that's not so much the case. He still is very much aligned with the ideals of the Empire. It's just that he's got this obsession with catching Cassian Andor. The only thing is that he doesn't really take many strides in actually catching Cassian Andor is the problem. It's like, you know, he has this obsession, and I like the idea of his character, right? Like being obsessive, being a little bit of a loner and a little bit of a creep, like especially to Dedra. Like it's awkward, it works, but I'm having a hard time finding any value in him, because even Dedra was like, I don't need you, get away from me, you creep. And so, you know, he's got this kind of cartoonish obsession with catching Cassian Andor like some kind of Looney Tunes character. And so it's just kind of like, I don't know if they know what to do with him. It's just like every time they're kind of like, hey, let's, you know, check in on the guy who Cassian Andor ruined his life. And that's about it. It's like, how's he doing? He's eating cereal, Bob. It's not great. Let's check on him again. He's working a desk job, Ken. He's not feeling so hot. So it's like, you know, tune in next week when he's filing his taxes and Cassian Andor is the reason why he doesn't get a good return. So it's like, maybe they will find something good for him to do, but just having him bumbling around is kind of like, I don't know. So yeah, final thoughts. I'm surprisingly now enjoying Andor. I will admit openly that I am enjoying the Andor series. I love the tone of it. Now the tone is finally catching up to this series, right? It's a little more grown up. A kid wouldn't want to watch this, you know. This is Star Wars for adults. But no, seriously, and they found a way to make a Star Wars show entertaining without having, you know, constant battles and constant, you know, like it's really like a Game of Thrones or House of the Dragon or Succession approach, right? Like Succession, there's no battles, but it's just so dramatic. There's so much drama going on between everyone's life that's what makes it interesting. So they finally gotten to that point where there's enough drama within every character to make it interesting. So I'm really happy, and I believe I will be reviewing episode 10. So I will leave it here, guys. If you made it this far, I'm sure you're one of the people who actually do enjoy Andor. So let me know what you've been thinking about this series, or if you've just been watching it begrudgingly, like, it will get better eventually. But I do think that it's gotten better. So let me know what you thought about this episode or about the series so far in the comments. Be sure to check out my video on my non-superhero movie reviews of 2022, because sometimes I watch stuff that's not Marvel or Star Wars. What a big shock. And hit that subscribe button so you know when the next Andor review is coming out, guys. So I will see you in the next video. Bye.